I'm 85 years old, and I wasted 60 years of my life on someone who never loved me. Not a romantic partner, not a stranger, my own sister. 3 years ago, I finally cut her out of my life. I was 82, and in those 3 years, I felt more peace than I did in the previous 8 decades combined. If you're watching this and thinking about that toxic person in your life, that family member who drains you, manipulates you, makes you feel small, please don't wait as long as I did. Today, I'm going to tell you about the decades I lost, the warning signs I ignored, and the single hardest decision that saved what was left of my life. My sister was 4 years older, the golden child. My parents always took her side, and I learned early to keep the peace, to say nothing. I became the sensitive one. She was the strong one. That's what they told me anyway. The pattern started when I was 19. She borrowed $500 for an emergency. That would be about $5,000 in today's money. She never paid it back. When I asked about it months later, she looked at me like I was crazy. "I already gave it to you," she said. I knew she hadn't. But I was young, and she was so confident. I started doubting myself. That was the first time she made me question my own reality. For decades after that, it only got worse. Every family gathering became a performance. I'd spend days beforehand anxious, wondering what she'd criticize this time. She controlled the family narrative, and somehow I was always the problem. When I had my first child in 1970, she told me I was doing everything wrong, undermined every decision I made as a new mother. When my husband and I hit a rough patch in 1985, she told other family members it was all my fault, turned them against me, and the money she kept borrowing. For her kids' college, her medical bills, her home repairs, never paid back a cent. But the breaking point came when I was 79. My husband had just died. I was grieving, vulnerable, completely alone, and instead of supporting me, she criticized how I mourned. "You're being dramatic," she'd say. "He wasn't that great anyway. Stop making everything about you." 2 months after his funeral, she asked to borrow $10,000 for emergency surgery. I found out later, she used it for a vacation. When I finally, gently confronted her about the money, she exploded, told me I was ungrateful, that she'd always been there for me, which was a lie. She threatened to turn the whole family against me, and then she showed up at my house uninvited, berated me in front of my grandchildren, made me feel unsafe in my own home. That's when my body said what I couldn't. My hands started shaking constantly. I couldn't sleep, lost 20 pounds in 6 weeks. My doctor said I was having anxiety attacks. At 79 years old, my body was finally screaming, "Enough." Looking back, here's my first regret. I believed family is forever meant enduring abuse forever. I grew up hearing it all the time. Blood is thicker than water. You only get one family. Sisters should always forgive each other. When I was 35, I tried to set a boundary about her criticizing my parenting. My mother said, "That's just how she is. You need to be the bigger person." At 52, after she ruined my daughter's wedding with a drunken scene, I thought about cutting contact. My father guilt-tripped me. "She's family," he said. "You'll regret this when I'm gone." I carried that guilt for 30 more years. Stayed in a relationship that was making me physically ill because I was more afraid of being a bad sister than I was of being destroyed by her toxicity. Here's what I wish I'd known. A family title doesn't grant someone unlimited access to hurt you. Some relationships cost more than they're worth. My second regret is that I ignored my body's warning signs for decades. At 45, I started having chronic migraines. The doctor said it was stress. I never connected it to how I'd dread her phone calls. At 58, high blood pressure, insomnia. Every Sunday I'd be anxious about her weekly visit, which was really an inspection of my life so she could find things to criticize. At 67, I had my first panic attack before a family Christmas. Heart racing, couldn't breathe, thought I was dying. At 73, I was diagnosed with depression. My therapist gently suggested my sister might be part of the problem, and I defended her, made excuses. At 79, after my husband died, my body finally broke completely. I spent over 40 years on medications, in doctors' offices, treating symptoms while ignoring the root cause. Your body keeps the score. When you feel sick before seeing someone, that's not love, that's trauma. My third regret is that I kept hoping she would change. Every birthday card she sent, I'd think, maybe this year will be different. Every apology, which always came with a, "but you're too sensitive," or "but you provoked me," I'd believe she was trying. There was this cycle. Tension would build. She'd get more critical, more demanding. Then an explosion, a major fight, hurtful words, sometimes in front of the whole family. Then the apology that wasn't really an apology. And then, a honeymoon phase, 2 or 3 weeks where she'd be sweet, and I'd think, see, she does love me. At 82, in therapy, my therapist asked me a simple question. In 60 years, has anything fundamentally changed? The answer devastated me. No, nothing. Ever. Toxic people rarely change because they lack the self-awareness to see their behavior as a problem. You cannot love someone into treating you well. Hope without evidence. Well, that's just denial wearing a prettier dress. My fourth regret is sacrificing real relationships to maintain the toxic one. I canceled plans with friends constantly to keep peace with her last-minute demands. When I was 47, my best friend told me she couldn't watch me be treated this way anymore, and I chose my sister over her. We never reconciled. My friend died 5 years later. I never got to tell her she was right. I missed my grandchildren's events because my sister needed me for things that were never actually emergencies. My daughter told me recently, she's 52 now, "Mom, we walked on eggshells around you for years because you were always stressed about Aunt Claire." Every yes to a toxic person is a no to someone who actually deserves your time. Protecting a bad relationship destroys the good ones. And my fifth regret, I let guilt control me instead of self-preservation. She's my only sister. What will the family think? She had a hard childhood too. What if she dies and I regret it? Maybe I'm overreacting. All of these thoughts kept me trapped. The guilt was literally killing me. Research shows unresolved family conflict is linked to PTSD symptoms, depression, even physical health problems. My therapist finally asked me, if a stranger treated you this way, would you tolerate it? Not for 5 minutes. So why does sharing DNA make abuse acceptable? It doesn't. The final straw came when I was 82, late in 2019. My sister demanded to move in with me temporarily. I knew it wouldn't be temporary. It would be permanent control. For the first time in my entire life, I said no. She went on a campaign, called family members, painted me as cruel and selfish. Some relatives took her side and stopped speaking to me. And you know what? That moment taught me something. Losing their approval hurt less than living with her abuse would have. In early 2020, I went no contact, blocked her number, changed my locks. I wrote her a letter explaining my decision, never sent it, just wrote it for my own closure. I found a therapist who specialized in toxic family recovery. The hardest part wasn't missing her. It was grieving the sister I wish I'd had, not the sister I actually had. I had to mourn that illusion. The first year was tough. I battled decades of programming that told me I was doing something wrong, but slowly, things started to change. Some relatives reconciled with me once they saw I was serious, that I was healthier. My sleep returned, my weight stabilized. The migraines that had plagued me for 40 years, they disappeared almost entirely. Now, at 85, I've been no contact for 3 years. It feels like 30 years of weight has been lifted off my shoulders. I've rebuilt my relationships with my children and grandchildren without her interference. I volunteer at a senior center. I paint. I'm in a book club. I've made new friends who treat me with genuine kindness. And I realize something profound. I had never experienced that before. Real kindness, without strings attached, without criticism, without expecting something in return. I have zero regrets about cutting her off. My only regret is waiting 60 years to do it. If I could tell my 30-year-old self something, here's what it would be. First, recognize the patterns early. If someone makes you feel terrible about yourself regularly, believe the pattern, not the occasional good moment. Your body knows before your mind does. Chronic stress, anxiety before seeing them, relief when plans get canceled. That's not weakness, that's data. Know the signs you're being manipulated. Gaslighting, that never happened. You're remembering wrong. You're too sensitive. Guilt tripping. After everything I've done for you, family should stick together, turning other family members against you, always borrowing money, never repaying, making you feel guilty for asking. Understand this truth. Toxic people rarely change because they lack the self-awareness to see their behavior as the problem. And no contact is a boundary. It's valid. It's necessary sometimes. Give yourself permission. You're not obligated to keep anyone in your life who consistently harms you. DNA doesn't grant that right. Going no contact isn't cruel. Staying in an abusive relationship with yourself is cruel to you. Take action now. If you're 30, don't wait until you're 50. If you're 50, don't wait until you're 70. If you're 70, it's not too late. I did it at 82, and these have been my best 3 years. We're starting a new year. 2026 is here. Maybe you made resolutions about your health, your finances, your relationships. Here's one more to add. Protect your peace. Set the boundary. If it gets violated repeatedly, you have your answer about whether that person values you. Build your support system. Find a therapist who understands family trauma. There are online communities of people who've been through estrangement. You're not alone. Strengthen your relationships with people who actually love you, who treat you with respect. And if you need it, well, document the abuse. Keep texts, emails, write down incidents. Not to weaponize them, but to remind yourself when the guilt tries to pull you back. Because it will. The guilt will come, but it's temporary. The relief is permanent. I'm 85 now. I might have 5 good years left, maybe 15 if I'm lucky. But those 60 years I gave to someone who never valued me, I can't get them back. I'll never get them back. Since cutting her off, I sleep through the night. I smile without forcing it. My grandkids say I seem lighter. One of them asked me recently, "Grandma, why are you so much happier now?" And I told her the truth. Because I finally chose myself. Every single one of those deathbed regrets that people talk about, not living authentically, not expressing feelings, not staying in touch with friends, I lived all of them because of one toxic person. One. I'm 85 and I'm running out of time. But you, if you're 25, 35, 45, 65, you have time. Please don't waste it the way I did. Life is too short to spend it feeling small, scared, and sick. If someone in your life consistently makes you feel worthless, anxious, or trapped, You have my permission as someone who waited way too long to let them go. The grief is temporary, the relief is permanent, and the life on the other side, it's the one you deserved all along. Don't wait until you're 82. Don't wait until your body breaks. Don't wait until you're sitting in a doctor's office realizing that the person you've protected for decades is the reason you're there. Because by then, you won't get those years back, and neither will I. If this resonated with you, please subscribe. I share these stories so you can learn from my regrets, not repeat them. Leave a comment. What's one boundary you need to set this year? Let's support each other. Share this with someone who needs to hear it. Sometimes permission from a stranger is all it takes to finally choose yourself. And remember, it's never too late to protect your peace. I did it at 82. You can do it today.